Hey, Chef.
Hello. Who was that? Juanita, was that you?
It was me.
How are you this fine evening?
Hello.
Hello, San. How are you?
Doing well.
Brenda just came on. Hello, hello. She's still connecting. There's April. Hello, hello.
And I'm in Texas, so
Yeah. What's in Texas? Family?
yeah, my grandpa had a heart attack Saturday, and
Oh
so
my.
it wasn't good. And they sent him home today, though. But he's really bad dehydrated, and so it's affecting his heart and kidneys.
Dehydration will do that.
Yeah, and he's 90 years old, so
Well, how long are you there for?
I won't be home till either Friday or Saturday, so I won't be able to pick up my fish until next week
Okay.
to do my assignment for this week.
Okay.
Because when I found out, I was in baking Monday night when my dad called and said that that he was having had a heart attack Monday. When my dad called, and I was like, okay, I'll be on my way tomorrow, which was yesterday. So
Okay. Well, I've got 5:30. I've got 5:31 now. So listen, this is going to be really short and sweet. I don't even know why this is recording, but it is. This will be short and sweet. So do y'all want the good news or the bad news?
I
both.
want the bad first.
Who is that saying? You want the good news first?
No, I want the bad first.
Oh, the bad news is I won't be demonstrating anything this evening. That's the bad news. And do you want the good news now?
Yes, please.
I won't be demonstrating anything this evening. That's the bad news and the good news. So my my snapper, which was set aside for me to bring home this afternoon for demo, it got picked up by last meat and seafood class. So it already got filleted. So my apologies about that. Everything currently is in the freezer like rock solid, and there's no way for me to have it thawed and ready. So I'm going to do, hopefully next week, I'll fillet for you some round fish and some flat fish at the same time, and maybe discuss a little bit of the difference in the two. There's similarity. There's a little bit of difference, not a whole lot, but has to do more with the skeletal structure of the fish. You should be okay if you're submitting this week. You should be okay with the videos that Chef McAfee had put together, built into this class. But that's it. That's really it. I don't have a PowerPoint, so I thought I would just let this evening be as long or as short as you want or needed it to be. Now's a perfect time. We're right in the middle of the semester. We could make this a question and answer. So Brenda asked a great question. What are y'all supposed to do? Let me break away from here just a second and pull this up so that we're all going to speak the same language. And of course, this may not, well, bear with me a second. Well, Blackboards is not going to cooperate for me right now. I might have, sitting here at home in Morrilton, I might have too much going on my Wi-Fi right now. So y'all didn't lose me, did you? Hello? Hello? Are you there?
No, we're still here. I'm still here.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. So listen, as has been the assignments for previous labs, I'm going off the top of my head, but I just want to stick with what previous labs have been. Okay. Now recently, and this does not apply to everybody. In fact, I think most of you that are on here right now, this doesn't necessarily apply to, but there are others that just get the recording. So let me be clear and give the same message to everyone. One of the kind of overall learning objectives for culinary school at CAMI is because it's so important in the industry, is just learning to follow directions. So some have realized that if you deviate from the directions, I certainly don't mind and appreciate those that send extra pictures that, maybe from different angles and all of that. That's great. That's wonderful. That's great. But for the most part, in each lab, you're requested to submit at least two things. One, more or less your mise en place. So in this case, I want to see your fish. I want to see before it's fabricated, before it's filleted. We're using the term fabricate, but really all you're doing is filleting the fish. Okay, I'll describe it. I'll mention it briefly, but I want to see your work area clean and organized, free of clutter, all of that, before your fish is filleted. And then I want to see your area cleaned up after it's been filleted with, you should have 2 fillets and the fish carcass. The fish carcass should show the head, the skeleton, and there'll be a little meat and stuff still left on the body, and the tail, and all of that should be whole. You're going to cut off the meat. First, you'll remove fins, top, sides. You'll cut from the gills to the tail. You really ought to start about the back where the dorsal fin is. And you'll follow with a super sharp fillet knife. You'll follow the skeleton all the way around from the back to the stomach, which is already sliced open. Your fish has already been gutted, and there you go. It's ready to go. Then if you get to skin it, that is, I would say it's exactly, it is, for the most part, it's like removing the silver skin from a pork or a beef tenderloin. Okay, the skin is pretty resilient, just like the tendon, the silver skin off of the tenderloin, and that sharp knife, you want the skin on the cutting board and the flesh side, the meat side of your fillet facing up. And you'll cut in a little slit. You'll hold the skin, not the meat. The meat will tear. You'll hold the skin, and you'll just, you should drive your knife in kind of one motion. If your knife is sharp enough and you're using a fillet knife is flexible, sharp, and really thin. Don't do this with your chef knife. You do this with your chef knife, you're going to tear it all up. And if you tear it all up, you know, many of you have heard me say this over and over, and I believe this, and I think your grades have been reflecting this. This class especially is just as much about experience as anything else. And experience is the great teacher. And sometimes when we're learning from experience, we're learning from a mistake. Do y'all remember food 2? Culinary school is the place to burn it up, is the place to tear it up. And it's the place to get a little bit of feedback. And then we learn to adjust. So what I want you to do, going back to Brenda's question, what I want you to do is that at the very least 2 pictures, but be sure you submit a picture of your work area, your workspace, and your fish before you filleted anything. And then you send a picture of your work area cleaned, sanitized, but you have your finished fillets and your waste product. And I would encourage you, if any of y'all like fish soups and stews, Sand, you're in food 2. I think you're the only one. Wait, Terrence, aren't you in food 2 also? Or you already did that? I just can't remember right now off the top of my head. We've got some stews coming up if you're in food 2, and those that are going to get this by recording. If you're in food 2, we've got some stews coming up, and one of the stews I'm going to have you make is a Brazilian fish stew. It will use shrimp, but y'all might want to save these bones, put them in the freezer, and mark them for fish stock. And yes, yeah, Terrence is what I thought. Y'all, with midterms and in the position I have at the school now, I've looked at so many grades and so many names. I can't remember one class from the other right now. I got kind of scrambled eggs going on in here. I lost all my hair, and so I lost all my mind. I don't have any hair like you people to keep it all stuck in. And so really, it's sad these last few days trying to remember who's in what and where. We're trying to address those individuals that have some academic challenges that we need to work on between now and the end of the semester. And I think everybody in this class, y'all are doing just fine. Have y'all been keeping up with your grades in this class and any other class? Have you been kind of keeping up with?
I usually look at my grades just about every other day.
Me too.
Yeah, that's how you keep up with. You keep up with 2 things. You keep up with yourself. What are you doing? You're aware if there's any surprises. You hope that there's not ever surprises, but you know, sometimes an assignment might be created and an instructor may have the best intentions, but forgets to get the message out that there's another assignment or something like that. But you can also see, okay, an assignment was submitted. I don't see a grade for it yet. Hey, Dr. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, or hey, chef, I sent the blah, blah, blah. Did you get a chance to see it yet? Did I send it to the right place? I haven't seen a grade yet. And sometimes that's helpful. Anyway, that was a little bit disjointed, but Brenda, did I answer your question about what I'm hoping you do and you're able to take care of this week? All this is it's very quick. It's very simple. Even the in-person class, I don't think the in-person classes stayed more than maybe an hour in class Monday and Tuesday, or Tuesday yesterday morning and yesterday evening. They filleted all the snapper that was there. And I think, did y'all pick up any other fish than just snapper? I know there was snapper. We were working on red.
Yes, I think I think they told me it might have been a grouper. I'm not
A
sure.
grouper?
I had looked, I think it is.
So I had
There's
asked
two in
for-
there. I know the snapper, and I think they told me it was a grouper. I'm not sure
Okay.
though.
Was it really, really dark? So you got one that's kind of pink looking, and you got one that's you got a really?
Well, they
Yellow
had
sea
it on
bass?
ice, so I
Okay.
couldn't tell.
Oh,
could
I
see
got
the
a,
snapper, but I couldn't
I'm
tell what
sorry.
the other was.
I got a snapper and a grouper in my bag.
Okay. And Brenda got a yellow sea bass. Interesting. April, you're muted if you're talking.
I asked Brian and Lynn, since their practicum is there in the product ID, and they said that it was grouper and snapper.
Mm. Okay. And Brenda was told it was not a grouper. I only saw snapper. And so I put my eyes on it yesterday, so I would have mine kind of set off to the side, ready to pick up after I have food one Wednesday mornings, and then I have some office hours, and I usually grab my product for this class on my way out the door. And then I make it here usually about 4 o'clock, 4:30, and I kind of scramble to get my kitchen all straight and ready for us to be together and to demo. And unfortunately, my snapper was already snapped up yesterday with the evening class. So I had ordered so that you see the similarities between two different kinds of fish. It's essentially the same with round fish. And there's a certain way the fish is shaped and the skeletal structure of the fish. That's why this week we're doing round fish, and next week you'll do the same thing to flat fish. The skeleton is different. Where the fillets are different, and how you cut the fillets out are different. And maybe this will work out in the end. It might work out a little better. Then I'll be able to show you the difference at the same time with a round fish and then a flat fish. Flatfish will probably get next week sole or flounder. And this week I'd asked for 2 of either snapper, grouper, or branzino. Brenda, that's okay. It's still a round fish. You've got 2 different round fish. That's okay. The whole point is cutting, filleting round fish. Now, the interesting thing, and maybe one observation for those of you that are anticipating becoming culinary professionals, and some of you work in the industry, April, if you stay employed where you're employed, a lot of the skills that we're learning in meat and seafood, many of those will translate to what you do and will help in some cost saving measures, in as much as you're able to do some of this in that particular setting, like a public school food service, institutional food service. The same holds true for hospital food service and healthcare. But some of the things that we do, like this week and next week, that's not going to translate to healthcare or college and university dining and K through 12 dining and even prison dining. It will in higher end fine dining restaurants, but casual dining, family full service restaurants, anymore today, really it's easier to buy the fish already filleted. There are machines that do that and make really simple work. And so you purchase from Cisco or Benny Keith or US Foods or Nicholas Foods or Alliant Foods or anywhere, the purveyors where you buy your product in bulk. We buy AP product, usually in the fish world. And if you've had restaurant industry or if you've had product ID already, you should be pretty familiar with what AP product means, already prepared product. Also, as purchased, you buy catfish that's already filleted and you bread it yourself. It's, unless you work in a seafood restaurant, it's a nice skill to have. It's a nice thing to know. But around here in Arkansas, you're not going to be filleting a whole lot of grouper. Grouper is a Caribbean fish. But some of you may leave Arkansas and so I'm gonna probably disappoint you a little bit, Brenda, just so that we get the practice and the reason to have the two different fish. As much as it would be a nice experience, because this is meat and seafood, and we're learning to take whole animal down to usable retail cuts, retail product. I know while it would be a nice experiment and you have this whole fish there, and to salt crust the whole fish would be a nice experience. I really need you to fillet it. So sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry. This is a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup commercial. That's all I have. My little bit of 20 minutes of rambling. Brenda, that's a great question. If you want to use these fillets, so those that have already gone through Food 2, poach is very, very nice. And how you might, the poaching liquid that you would use, that's up to you. Don't poach just in water. That's not going to render any flavor whatsoever, but some shallot, some garlic, some white wine, and then, the sky's the limit. Poached is very nice. I think most of you that have already in the past already had me for Food 2. We learned to steam fish in papillote. That's a very nice method with either or both of these fish. When I did some cable television work in Belize, and it was steamed. It was in papillote, but it was in banana leaves, and we steamed snapper and grouper using kind of the same method. Loaded the leaves with vegetables, and it was some Belizean beer that went in as kind of the steam liquid. They were all sealed up, rolled really tight. And instead of doing it in the oven, it was done on kind of a low char grill, low heat, low coals grill. And that added a little, it was the steam that cooked the fish, but the grill also started to char the banana leaves, which added a little bit of smokiness to the fish as well. And so now that I said that, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Make a nice, very simple pico de gallo and serve that on top of the fish. So how about that? Try that. Now may be a good time to go explore the Google verse and see what the interwebs has. since I'm not an alcohol consumer, as all of you know, if you wanted to try what I just mentioned, this Belizean steamed fish, I wouldn't even know what kind of beer would be the same, because I don't drink any of it. So it was much darker beer than a Budweiser, certainly a Corona, but it was not as dark a beer as a Guinness. So somewhere in between. I don't know if that says anything to anybody or if that makes a difference. But there you go, just an idea. What else you want to know? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything under the sun? How you feeling about school? Terrence, you can check on grades anytime. And if there's something so what I have done for all of my classes, and I think I broadcast this in advance. Midterm grades were due in the registrar's office today. So I said I would do this Monday morning. I actually didn't finish it until yesterday. But if there was anything up through week 7, if there was anything left undone, I went back and entered a 0. And so the grade that was submitted to the registrar's office for midterm grades that I would imagine y'all will be able to see by tomorrow, maybe, or maybe Friday. I don't know how long it takes from recording in Blackboard to the registrar doing whatever voodoo she has to do to release those grades to you. But when those grades will reflect your absolute current. So if there was a lab not submitted, if there's the little video essay things not submitted, I entered 0s in those, and that is included in your midterm grade. And I think everybody in this class is in good shape. Good shape means you are passing. That's a C or better. Now, I'm perfectly fine reopening an assignment for you. If you see that there's a 0, you got a 0 for something and you want to go back and submit that assignment. Now listen to how this works. Listen to Chef. Chef is wise. Chef is wise. Listen. If a grade has already been assigned and you want to redo that assignment, now I'm not going to let you go back and say, hey, Chef, will you reopen this? I want to try to get a better grade. If you did something and you got a 15 out of 20, that's okay. You just take the 15 out of 20. If you got a 0 because you didn't submit and you want to get, late credit is better than no credit, you have to text me, you have to email me and ask me specifically to reopen that assignment. Okay. If you just submit, Blackboard's not supposed to let you do this, but I already know that it has happened a few times this semester. Somehow some students in other classes have been able to submit assignments, I call it under the 0. Well, when you do that, the instructor doesn't get a notification. I don't know that you've submitted that assignment. So you physically need to tell me that you want me to reopen the assignment, then you can submit it. I get notified and I can grade it. I hope that makes sense. Brenda, thank you. That's a great question. And here is the current answer. Nothing. So what I mean by that is we are in a holding pattern as far as determining the future of online culinary lab classes. The lecture classes, the American Culinary Federation doesn't have any problem with at all. So being able to continue to take healthy foods and nutrition, intro to hospitality, product ID, and restaurant industry online, that will continue. Next semester, next spring, I will be able to, I have one section of Food 1 online and one section of Food 2 online. There will be no meat and seafood online. There will be no stocks or garde-manger online, at least until next fall. Now, during the summer, there are several meetings being planned. I've got some deadlines to submit some specific research data to the Education Foundation Accrediting Commission of the American Culinary Federation on my research, my study, which only includes Food 1 and Food 2. And so we're taking one step back. I'm going to complete my study, compile the data, make recommendations, compile the findings and conclusions, and then have a few meetings with the ACF, hopefully culminating at the national convention in Las Vegas next July. And there will be face-to-face meetings during the convention in which I'm hoping that we're able to make a really good sell. And then beginning in the fall, again, I want you to understand, this is my hope. Currently, there should be no expectation of further online classes. There won't be until the accrediting commission gives their blessing and their approval. And I don't think that's going to happen in just one or two meetings. And I know it won't happen until they see the results of my finding. Thank you. And Brenda, there is, most of y'all know this, just by participating in an online class, even though it's not Food 1 or Food 2, y'all were asked to do a pre-course, or at the beginning of the semester, a SurveyMonkey survey, and you'll be asked to do the same thing at the end of the semester. And that survey is one important aspect of where I'm collecting data. Where the rubber meets the road is some of y'all participated in the last couple of semesters. I do an in-person knife skills test for Food 1 around the time of the written final. And I'll do a cooking final for Food 2. It'll be voluntary, and there'll be American Culinary Federation evaluators who will evaluate the knife skills test and evaluate the cooking Food 2 test. And those evaluators won't know the difference between an in-person student and an online student, and we'll all be in the same room. And my hope is that the data will show both groups of students performing at least the same level. The learning objectives are being met. If that's the case, then it's a very compelling argument in favor of online learning, online culinary lab classes. And Terrence, I will definitely keep you in the loop. And thank you for that. But that's the big thing right now. When the post-course survey comes available, which will probably start about practical exam week, it'll be open for probably 2 or 3 weeks. I'll give you bonus credit for that. And answering honestly, don't, you're anonymous. Don't answer, it's not helping my career or I'm not going to get a better contract or anything like that. If there are things that you don't like, if there are things that you feel could be better, there's open-ended questions. And then there's a lot of statistical, kind of rate this. Well, it's the same with about 5 or 6 additional questions. The pre-course and the post-course survey are the same. The post-course survey has a few extra questions. And so I get to collect all of the data from the pre-course survey and compare it with all of the results of the post-course survey. And so what's interesting is if your perceptions change or anyway, blah, blah, blah. Brenda, that's all I need. That's very helpful. And Terrence, you're on the short list or the long list of people for the in-person exam. Thank you for that. What else? Good luck with the fish. So April's fish is in the freezer. So it's frozen solid. Y'all should have picked up from the school fish that's frozen. But if you want to keep it frozen and you want to wait and hold off, we kind of did this before with the mix up on the pork and the beef stuff earlier in the semester. If y'all just want to hold off on filleting your round fish until next week after I'll demo both. Next week you'll pick up your flatfish, and maybe we could all fillet together. Brenda, no. This is one thing. Now, if we're talking about a chicken or we're talking about cutting up bacon, yes, it's easier to handle semi-frozen. You want the fish completely thawed. You want it to be really flexible, and you want a sharp fillet knife. You want to be able to move easily around the skeletal structure of the fish, which is very delicate. And so it is not easier to cut frozen. You've got to get it off the skeleton, and you don't want to keep pin bones, those little tiny rib bones. You don't want to keep those in the meat. And if the meat is frozen or partially frozen, it's going to be very easy to cut through bone and leave that attached to the meat. And then it's not as bad, but come on, y'all have all had fish that still had bones in there, and it's kind of annoying, getting those out. I can show you next week of a few toys. There's certain kinds of tweezers to use for boning fish. I can show you those next week. Don't ask y'all to get me. Go ahead, April.
Where would I find those tweezers at?
So I got mine from the Amazons.
Okay. Just put in fish tweezers?
Yes.
Okay.
You can put a fish fillet kit, and you'll find that don't buy kits, but you'll see the kinds of things. You don't need these cutting gloves, these mesh cutting gloves. I hate those. They don't use those. That's poor technique. There'll be knives. There'll be knife sharpeners. You shouldn't need those. That kind of crossover knife that you have, if you have the student Mercer kit, you have a boning fillet knife. It's kind of flexible, but it's a little bit thicker than the typical fillet knife. Use that really flexible knife. Okay.
I saw that knife.
Say that again.
I said, I saw that knife in my kit.
Yes, that's what you need to use. Don't use
Okay.
a utility knife. Don't use, those knives are too thick. Don't use a chef knife. Those are nice to have. I'll show you. there's a way to run your hand on the underside opposite the skin. There's a way to run your hand over the meat, the flesh of the fish, and you'll be able to feel any of those little pin bones, and you feel for them, and you pull the bone. You got to pull kind of hard. They don't come out real easy, but we want to remove those. What else? What other questions?
I like the idea of us
I know.
waiting. Is that okay to do that, Chef? To wait to do it to next week?
Yes, I'm perfectly fine. And I'll double check here in just a minute as soon as we get off. If there's a due date listed,
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
release those due dates. But if y'all feel better, if y'all want to wait until next week, hey, why don't we plan on this? How about we try this? And if we're going to do this, we're going to do this for posterity's sake. We're going to do this for the good of the American Culinary Federation,
Mm-hmm.
the future of online labs for CAMI, for UAPTC. So I'll leave
Okay.
to, how about we just keep your round fish in your deep freeze so it stays solid and cold and solid. Everybody needs to pick up your flatfish before our Zoom next Wednesday, and come to Zoom next Wednesday in your kitchen, already clean and organized and set up and ready to cut. You've got your fillet knife. You're in uniform,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
hat, coat.
Yep, I like that.
Let's do a live in Zoom. Let's do a live lab. I'll cut,
I love that idea.
you'll cut, especially with us working with fish. I'll cut, you'll cut,
Yes.
I'll cut, you'll cut. How does everybody feel about that? Give me, those of you that are here, give me an amen, a hands up.
I love that idea.
Okay.
I like that idea too. I do.
Okay. Okay.
So do I.
Juanita, yes, good. I got an amen from Terrence.
So I posted a question in the chat. Chef, will the flatfish that we pick up next week, will it be unthawed, or do we need to try to pick it up like Tuesday so that we can let it unthaw?
So my guess, and I'm making a guess, the fish will likely come in on Monday, and because we don't have our meat and seafood until Wednesday, and some of you pick up your product on Wednesday, that's why everything was put in the freezer. We made that determination on Monday. And so, San, when did you pick yours up?
Monday. I pick up my supplies for both classes on Monday.
But you didn't pick yours up? You weren't there at 4:30 Monday morning. When was it Monday?
I was there. That was Monday. Yeah, that was Monday morning. I mean, I work from home Monday, so I was like about 10-ish when I got there, because I saw you.
That's right. Well, I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. I can't even remember if I had lunch yet. So Monday was a long time ago. Brenda, yours was semi-frozen.
Yeah.
Brenda, when did you pick yours up on Monday also? Okay. So here's what I guess, and I believe, so the flatfish is coming from the same vendor, and it's going to come, I believe, see the air quotes, Monday morning. So if you pick your product up on Monday, just like this week, then you're just like this week, it's going to be still thawed, or it's going to be semi-frozen, as the purchasing people will put our class product in the freezer.
Right.
Because y'all don't want to pick up fresh fish that has been sitting since. So if I have my timeline right, and I'm not sure that this is 100%, we should be getting fresh product. I know the snapper, for example, should have been fresh pot product. We got it on Monday. It was shipped Sunday. It was caught Saturday. You see where I'm going with this? Fish,
Yeah.
not something that you want to catch on Saturday and throw in your refrigerator and wait until Wednesday to use. And so
Right.
that's why it's put in the freezer. And so if you wait until Tuesday or Wednesday to get your product, it will be frozen. So keep that in mind. If you're able to pick it up on Tuesday and it'll be frozen for you, but take it home and let it thaw slow in your refrigerator. If it's frozen solid on Tuesday, it ought to be thawed pretty nice by mid-afternoon Wednesday. And so you should have all of your fish kind of ready to go by 5:30 Wednesday night.
Okay.
And if not, then, you know, I'm going to be in the same boat as you guys are, because mine's going to be frozen solid, and I will pull it because I'm going to have them do the same thing with mine. And so we'll pull it, or I'll save from Wednesday or Tuesday night's class. I'll have to bring home fresh, already thawed. Because if I walk through the door at 4 o'clock and I've got frozen rock solid, I don't know that it'll be thawed by 5. Because you want to thaw it, if you have to quick thaw, you have to do it under cold, constant running water. That's food safe, and that's going to take a while to thaw. So that might be our only challenge. And so Juanita, I guess going back to your original question, we're going to kind of play it by ear. We're buying for the good of the school and the good of your experience, mostly with the in-person meat and seafood class in mind, for timing, scheduling, and paying a premium price to ensure that the seafood comes in fresh and timed in a way that we don't have to freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw. But we don't want it to set for days and days. And so you're picking up frozen product. You want it to be thawed. We kind of have to play it by ear. Have it thawed by 5:30 next Wednesday. And we'll all play with both fish together.
Sounds great.
Fish, have
That
your
sounds
fillet
good.
knife, and we'll go on from there. Sound good?
Yes,
I
sir.
love it. Thanks, Chef.
Listen, everybody have a good night. Enjoy, I guess, a little extra breathing room, a little extra time. And we'll do both labs together next week. You'll snap a picture right there. You'll still need to submit in Blackboard those lab artifacts. So I'll have you take kind of make sure your area is clean. You'll snap some picture of your clean area before we do work, before your round fish, before your flat fish, and then we'll tear the whole place up and kind of clean up, and you'll take some pictures of your after fillet, both, and just submit week 8 and week 9 kind of all at the same time. That sounds like a plan.
I love it. Thanks, Chef.
99, one and all.
All
All right. Thank you,
Bye.
Chef.
Bye.
Thanks, Chef.